He was waiting for it! Yay! So Agent Moo, you were already here watching us. You were prepared, man. That was the fastest raid ever. Okay, there you go. You are here. I can see you. My audience cannot see you. So I'm gonna pop the intro for awesome people I'd like to be. So stay right there. Stay like 5 seconds, and my audience will be able to see you. All right. Awesome people I'd like to be! So please everyone welcome Mr. Bent Shostak. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please Mr. Bent Shostak, present yourself. What is your team? What is your game? Go ahead. You're the star of the show.
I am Bent Shostak at Barnyard Intelligence Game, and I am the lead developer, and we just put out High Strangeness 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so. two weeks ago it just finished its release on Steam, right?
Yep, Steam and Wii U, and
Wii U as well.
Yeah, Wii U, and it's releasing in Europe on Wii U the day before Splatoon.
Okay, sweet. So how come? Why did you release on Steam and Wii U at the same time? I mean, were you like, was it really difficult to do that? Like release both platforms at the same time? And why Wii U?
Well, The game is it's a retro action adventure, and it's really inspired by Zelda games. So, like the Nintendo platform is awesome for that.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I think that the visuals of the game very fit the Wii U audience, right?
Yep. Yeah, and we're in Unity, so Unity runs on like anything. Yeah. So, I heard you talking about porting from Flash to Unity.
Yep.
Yeah, we were originally in XNA. We started the game 5 years ago.
Okay. yeah. You started like in 2009. I think that the Kickstarter was in 2009, and you were like the very first funded game on Kickstarter. How come? Please tell us the story about that. I mean, it's super interesting.
Yeah, so Steve Jenkins, he's the designer of the game.
Okay.
He came up with the whole concept for it, and he was talking with Rich Vreeland, Disasterpiece.
Okay.
Who was he was doing a Kickstarter for an album on there, and basically Steve was like, can you do a game on here? So we just put it together, and the program was still in beta, so nobody knew what you're supposed to do with the Kickstarter, what's the campaign supposed to look like. So yeah, it's cool looking back at our video and everything, and it's before like a lot of the Kickstarter tropes started.
Okay,
You just have like the creators sitting around like, yo, this is a game, we were thinking about doing it. But like it was kind of like more of a cinematic trailer for the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, sweet. And how come 6 years, man? 6 years. I mean, how much what your Kickstarter funds? What was the pledge goal?
The original goal was $1,500.
Okay. So you were 6 year, two guy on 1,500.
Yeah. So So basically we're we've been putting our own money into it, and
obviously.
Along the way we got picked up by Midnight City.
Okay.
So they helped us get it onto Wii U and Steam and everything. So they also helped us get all of the graphics assets finished up, so we could get all the levels and everything finished up and ready to release. And it's out there now.
Sweet. Well, speaking about the game, please can you describe it a little bit? What kind of game it is? I know
Sure.
it's like visually it's a 12-bit game.
Yeah, and we call it a 12-bit game because it's actually halfway between 8 and 16-bit. You get the ability to switch between 8 and 16-bit worlds with your crystal skull.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
it's basically at any given time it's two different action adventure games. It's like an original Legend of Zelda on the NES, or when you switch into the 16-bit world, it's more like Chrono Trigger, or Secret of Mana, or Link to the Past, where you can sprint around and do combo attacks and stuff like that.
Okay,
so
sweet.
yeah, so it's like 2 different games at once.
Okay, so it's literally 2 different games. That was I was about to ask that. Is it like in A Link to the Past where you can cast your mirror to switch between worlds, or is it like 2 different kind of game, or?
Yeah, it's like the light and dark world switch.
Okay.
And the mechanics of the game switch as well when you're changing to the other world. So there's secret pathways, and both you and your enemies behave differently. So some like bosses and stuff might move slower in one world, and like some enemies that shoot bullets at you. Like if you switch to 8-bit, like they can only shoot in like set increments, so you can dodge around them.
Okay, gotcha. Ah, sweet. Okay, I can't wait to play that. Actually, I'm gonna ask the audience if you guys have any question. Please, you can just write down Dear Lachhh and write your question so I can ask Mr. Bent Shostak over here. Again, you just take Dear Lachhh and ask your question. So, about the 2-world mechanic, that should be like doubling the art amount. I mean, whenever you want to add a new feature, you have to double the effort every single time. It must be like super, not exhausting, but super difficult to keep track of everything.
Yeah, so we did like 2 sets of tile work for all of the levels and all the characters. So yeah, it did add complexity to it, but we built the game from the beginning with that in mind. And yeah, so it's something that like in the 8-bit world, not just the graphics, but the animations are different as well. So so a lot of that stuff we had to figure out creative ways to have something be like 1 frame of an attack in the 8-bit world, but in the 16-bit world, it's multiple frames, and you can also connect with combos and stuff like that. Okay. So just a lot of it was balancing things so that nothing was too overpowered in either dimension, and nothing breaks like hitboxes and stuff like that.
Okay. So everything was designed from bottom up to have like the 2 worlds. So it was basically okay. Sweet. I got one question here from Telmek. I want to ask you, when did you get into game development? When?
Well, I first started doing some game development prototyping in college in like I was probably like 2002 or so.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, so that was just doing some prototypes. I took a Java-based Pac-Man game and gave you and the ghost guns so you could shoot at each other.
Okay, that's more interesting like this, more intense.
Yeah, so part of the strategy was like dodging around them, and there was a rocket launcher, and when you get the rocket launcher, you get this big beefy arm sticking out of like the regular Pac-Man sprite holding a rocket launcher.
Game of the year right there. So that was your first game, you said? Like
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just it was a prototype taking a working game to add those features, and then in 2009, before we did the Kickstarter, I released Agent Moo Maximum Overdeath. And Agent Moo Maximum Overdeath is basically a 2D Contra deathmatch game. So players jump around in a 2D world and fire rocket launchers, mines. There's portal guns, so like you can shoot one portal off a cliff and another one like below a spawn point, so you could like spawn people off the cliff. And you can get into helicopters, and I had a like a warthog, like a Halo warthog that I called the Pimple Pig. That was one of the cars, but yeah, there was a lot of blood and guts in that. It was all compressed into a small map, and you could have up to 16 players. It wasn't necessarily the most reliable.
That's why it's called Maximum Over Death. I get the name now. Sweet. So was that also a Unity, or I mean, I don't even remember if Unity was a thing in 2009. Actually, it was like at the beginnings, right?
Yeah. It may have been available, but it wasn't fully mature at that point.
Okay,
that was in XNA.
Okay.
Yep, and I took so for that there were no easy animation tools, so I had to take basically just a sprite sheet, and you could do two things. You could either draw like a whole image, or you could draw a coordinate of an image, like starting at this point and then like this wide and this tall. So basically from that, I also had the timer, how many fractions of a second elapsed since the last update. Mm-hmm. So based on like those two things, drawing a square and the timer, I developed my own animation system to just animate all the frames. So I had I had my own class where basically I had a select case for each animation, and yeah, it got pretty unruly, but I mean, just based on that, I created my own animation engine that, like, it was very programmer specific to do the animations.
But you made it happen, so yeah. I mean, let's like not having tools is not a reason to not make games. Like you try to make your own rules, your own tools, and try to make that happen. And I love to hear those stories. Like, oh, I didn't know how to do those stuff, but I made my own stuff, and that thing. So I really, I don't know. I see myself into that. So, yeah. And XNA, was it for Xbox? I mean, I think that it was like an community games back then. With XNA.
Yep.
Okay. So
XNA basically, it started off. Microsoft released what was originally DirectX for managed languages.
Okay.
And that was like when DirectX 9.0C came out. So this was when .NET was it was becoming more mature and something that you could use for graphics as well. So when it first started off and I was developing Maximum Overdeath, there was actually they didn't have a marketplace to sell the games. So
okay.
I was just I developed it as a community game to play with people on Destructoid on their Friday night fights. So I was just like IMing a bunch of people from the community, just like talking about like stupid ideas to implement, and yeah, it was full of just like internet meme jokes, and they were like Chappelle Show jokes in there, like you fall off a cliff and it's say cocaine's a hell of a drug.
That's sweet. Well, it's really cool too when you start, like your very first game. When you start, you just like make some jokes to make yourself laugh and make your friend laugh, and then you get the passion, you get like the hook of why it's pretty cool to make games. You make people laugh, and then you just expand on that. So yeah, this is one of my advice actually. Where should I start? What kind of game should I do? Like, make yourself laugh, make other people around you laugh. Start with that, and then try to get other people laugh and everything. But yeah. I got a question by Mr. Anukar J. How has the game idea evolved over the time since the Kickstarter?
Yeah, a lot of it has been identifying like what's fun to do in the game and figuring out how to work in the bit switching mechanic to be like really like a key part of the game. Because when we did the original design, we weren't sure how much it was going to be like RPG focused or adventure focused, but a lot of it was just kind of working the balance of the different abilities and stuff like that into the puzzles to make sure that they're all relevant and there's reason to use all the different abilities.
Okay. So at first you had the idea of switching world when you started, and then you just like try to expand on that, like what kind of puzzle should we do? So am I understand? Okay, yeah, and that take a long time. You try to like make one puzzle, but you already have to do like iteration of a different kind of puzzle to be sure that a mechanic has been explored enough. So I can imagine why it took like 6 years to finish that game based on that feature. So I got another question from K0313. Do you have tips for beginning game programmers?
Yeah, I think one of the things you mentioned was to make things that make you happy and your friends happy. But but I would say, like, even before you get into creating your own game, the way I started was taking a existing like working game example and trying to change the logic of that game to
I do agree.
basically the way you would mod a game by coming up with new abilities to doing it. But instead of using like mod tools, actually just get something that works in Unity, like an example game, and change things in there. Like give the guy like a really overpowered weapon or something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think Rami Ismail said this, but like when you change variables and stuff, like just to see how things work, take things like multiply them by like 10 or divide by 10. Don't just like fiddle things a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay, so like you did with the Pac-Man with the big rocket launching thing, right? You take an existing concept and you try to just fiddle around to. Okay, yeah, I do agree. Actually, I did the same by myself. The first game I did was a Clown from Atari, and I did my own stuff, and yeah, there's blood involved as well. So we got another question by Mr. Sharky. What was the process of getting onto the Wii U, and what expenses did you incur during that?
Sure. Yeah, for the expenses of getting on the Wii U, it was the cost of the dev kit and doing the rating certifications for the different regions, and we did. I'd have to aggregate all of them, but like it's like Australia, Germany, PEGI, ESRB. There might be another ratings body in there, but like one of the biggest challenges to getting on a console is doing the rating certification, because it's just it takes a while to get that all approved, and it can be expensive to do that, but releasing in, like, if you're just going to release in the US, that's much easier to just do ESRB. ESRB is basically a questionnaire for the ratings, and we actually got rated teen because there's violence against humans, but it's not really.
It'll be super cartoonish, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Legend of Zelda style violence, which is always like E10.
Okay.
Yeah, so like digital titles, they're a little more, a little more black and white on that stuff. But the process of getting on there, if you go to, I would have to look up the URL, but Nintendo has a indie portal for the Wii U where you can submit, and they can get you set up with the like concept approval and stuff like that, so you can release a title on there.
Okay.
We went through the publisher channel for that since we were going through Midnight City, so they manage most of that stuff. And for us, that was one of the main benefits of having the publisher, is that they did have a relationship with Nintendo, and they knew how the rating stuff worked.
Okay, yeah.
But I would say in general, you don't need a publisher these days. I would say, like, for people starting off and getting a game out there, I would self-release on stuff. Oh, yeah? So. Okay,
you think that the like it is not easy enough, but how can I say that the publishers help I don't want to.
I'd say it depends on your project.
Okay.
I mean, for us, we needed budget to get art assets complete, but it's a case by case thing. But
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of resources for for doing marketing on your own and all that stuff. So
Okay, sweet. I got another question by Mr. Cullion. He said, how did the game industry evolve since he started being a game developer? What changed?
I'd say the funding of games completely changed. People used to do $1,500 Kickstarters.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crowdfunding really came into its own, and the industry rewards games that have a original concept and can convey that well. And I think games have become more. They've always been very visually focused, but in order to sell your game, painting a word picture with your visuals, that doesn't make any sense. But but yeah, you really have to package your game well to kind of sell on Kickstarter, and also Steam and other digital marketplaces have really opened up. So just getting on there isn't going to sell your game. You have to like I said, package it well, make it compelling, and when you launch on these services, you get a big boost in visibility. And you need to make sure that before you launch on any platform, you have everything all polished and ready to go. Have people whose opinions you trust, who are not afraid to tell you when something looks terrible.
Yeah, not your mom or your friends.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Have them review it and say, would you buy this and why not, and would you fund this? So so you want to get all that stuff out of the way before you put it out there and see what initial numbers are and all that.
Yeah, because you only have one first impression, right? So yeah, you gotta maximize that.
Yep.
Okay, sweet. So I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask one more question by Mr. Nexon20, and then I will pop your trailer, Mr. Ben. So is there a reason why it has a 4:3 resolution scale? Yeah.
It's actually not 4:3 resolution scale. It is. I think it's 5:4. Because it's the original Super Nintendo resolution and pixels.
Okay.
So we have that for the 8-bit world. So I believe it matches up 1-to-1 with the NES. But so we have the NES and SNES resolutions, and the color palette for the 8-bit world. We stick mostly to the NES color palette, not 100%, because if we stuck with it 100%, we wouldn't be able to have levels with any brown in them.
Yeah. Gotcha.
There's black, there's one dark brown, and then there's brown. So there's no shading.
Well, as long as it feels NES, I think it's okay. I mean, I'm doing the same thing right now in my games. I don't think we have the exact palette, but if it feels NES, if you still think that it's a game you would have played 25 years ago, you're okay. I mean, if the feeling is there, that's okay. So I think I'm gonna close that here, my friend. I think that you mentioned you had some keys to give for High Strangeness for your game, right? You do, sweet! So that's what's gonna happen. After this interview, I'm gonna close this interview, we're gonna pop the trailer, and after your trailer, I'm gonna give the keys. How many keys do you have?
I've got 5 keys.
5 keys! Oh my god, I'm gonna spit that thing over and over again. Sweet, I can't wait. Okay, so we're gonna close the interview right now, guys. Thank you very much, Ben, for being on the show. It was great. Thank you very much for all your advice. So I'll close the interview and pop your trailer right now. Good luck with your game, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Sweet. See you around, man.